Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of PharmCast, the University of Georgia College of Pharmacy's official platform for sharing voices and certainly for telling stories. PharmCast features real conversations with leaders who are shaping the future of pharmacy, pharmaceutical and biomedical sciences, and healthcare. Our episodes explore their personal journeys and their professional insights, all with the goal of creating space for connection and curiosity, and certainly community. Today's guest, well, you're going to learn he epitomizes one of these change makers and leaders. A 2004 alumnus of the College of Pharmacy, David Pope is dedicated to improving patient care through visionary, innovative ideas. As a pharmacist and a previous certified diabetes educator, he's passionate about leveraging emerging technologies to solve the real-world problems we certainly have, especially in healthcare. David currently serves as the Chief Pharmacy Officer at Xifin, the nation's leader in pharmacy and lab medical billing and clinical documentation technology. Prior to joining Xifin, David co-founded Strand Clinical Technologies, the market leader in empowering pharmacists to launch community-based clinical services. Among his other entrepreneurial successes, he is the founder of Creo, an investment firm focused on emerging market startups. With his more than 2 decades of innovation and entrepreneurial experiences, David has collaborated with national and state organizations, payers, and U.S. government agencies to improve the U.S. medical system, especially in rural areas. With more than 2 decades of innovation and entrepreneurial experiences, David has collaborated with national and state organizations, payers, and U.S. government agencies to improve the U.S. medical system, specifically in rural areas. He and his business partner have received numerous awards and recognitions across UGA and at the state level. They've been named the Bulldog 100 in both 2015 and 2016. David is a previous honoree of the UGA 40 Under 40 in 2015. And at the state level, he and his partners have received the Georgia Small Business Rockstar of the Year Award in 2017. Well, after all that, you can imagine how honored and excited I am to introduce you all to today's guest, Dr. David Pope. Welcome, David.
Well, thank you for having me. You said 20 years, over 2 decades of experience. Gosh, it's been a lot. It's been so good to be here and here with you today.
Fabulous. Well, we always like to get to know our guests by just learning a little bit about what led them to this great world we know as pharmacy. Share with us a little bit.
Sure. So, I would say that my journey is probably very similar to those who are listening to this podcast. If you are already a pharmacist and you're out in the community and an alumni, you're considering pharmacy out there, is that you just came into this place of saying, I want to help patients. I want to make up a difference and a mark on this world. I want to be a change maker. And because of that, pharmacy aligned really well. I didn't know it at the time. There wasn't a person in my family who was a pharmacist. There wasn't a close friend. But I remember my mom just, happenstance at one point said, my pharmacist makes a big difference in my life. You should consider that maybe. And from that point forward, it's all it took, right? I found and sought after a pharmacist who I was a friend of a friend and said, can I come shadow them? And just started to slowly fall in love with the practice of pharmacy. Loved how I could go anywhere, right? So again, I loved how you could go into hospital or in the retail segment side and academia. It was all great. And so that's what led me there, and excited to still play a role in pharmacy today.
Excellent. Well, certainly that concept of going anywhere is something we really value and certainly hope and aspire for our students of starting here and going anywhere in your career. Where has your career taken you? I recounted a few of those stops along the way, but remind us a bit of those others, please.
Sure. So in pharmacy school, I began to get connected within all the different associations and groups out there, right? From ASP, the one that was focused on independent pharmacy and beyond. And ultimately, that led me to independent pharmacy, first and foremost. I'll never forget my friend of mine, Jeff Pettis. He and I were going to start up a pharmacy right out of pharmacy school. He ended up finding, believe it or not, a pharmacy in Knoxville, Tennessee, that was decked out in red and black. And he said, I've got to stay here. So at the time, I was working with Barry Bryant. He's also an alum of UGA. At Barney's Pharmacy in Augusta. Incredibly progressive pharmacy out there, always just pushing and allowing pharmacists to be able to practice at the fullest extent of their capabilities and license. And so it worked out to where he stayed in Knoxville. We had big plans, right, to open up our own pharmacy. And so I began my career at Barney's Pharmacy. It was an independent pharmacist there. We helped to start the wellness center there. I was diabetes educator there. And also even a physician's practice. So started there. Ended up wanting to be able to document some of the things that I needed to document inside that practice. Couldn't inside my pharmacy management system. So I went to my old college roommate, high school friend, and said, hey, I've got an idea. We could create something here, except there's only one problem. I don't code. He did. And so I said, I can't pay anything, but maybe we could do this together. Fast forward, again, that was Strand. And so that's now the U.S. market leader, right, for clinical documentation and medical billing inside pharmacy. But in the meantime, again, I go back to, we didn't have any money, right? And so we bootstrapped that by starting off with just diabetes education programs. And that's what we taught. So we wrote educational programs for diabetes, for heart health. We called it the sweet spot, where pharmacists across the country would provide these classes every single month. It was fantastic. We loved it. And it was growing their business. It was helping them to make an impact on healthcare in the area. And that's what helped to fuel ultimately what was Strand. After that, we ultimately did sell Strand to Omnisys, which was a big medical biller inside the pharmacy space, especially for large markets. And so did that. I was chief innovation officer there, so led product and beyond. That one then turned again into a company called Xifin, which is now based on the West Coast. An incredible company, just super innovative. And so now I serve as the chief pharmacy officer there. I'm responsible for the pharmacy market. And again, it's not only on the pharmacy segment side, but also lab and diagnostics and beyond. In the in-between, we, had a lot of different stops, again, from I would just say, because of those roles, we were blessed to be able to be a part of some of these incredible conversations with Zika virus, with the CDC, and think about COVID and the work that we did there with HHS and CMS and all these others. And so it just, I think about my time right out of pharmacy school. It propelled me. I was so ready because of my time here. I was so ready. And so it wasn't a wade into the water. We were launched into the water. And so it's taken me some places that I never dreamed I would be.
Excellent. We're going to make sure every pharmacy student hears this over and over again, perhaps primarily prior to those really tough exams.
That's right.
This could be great motivation for them. Well, speaking of motivation, you've had here again a great career thus far, and I know there's a lot ahead of you. What drives you or really kind of fuels you in your passion when it comes to professional work?
That's a great question. And I would say, first of all, my drive comes from my faith in what I do. I believe I was created for a purpose. And that purpose is to be able to leave it better than we found it, right? And so I love this idea of again, being able to be interjected into a space and be able to leave it better than we found it. It's the reason why I went into pharmacy school. I wanted to be able to help the health of patients. Now I work on the health of healthcare, but certainly that's a big part of what I do. And so in every space, I am always driven by this idea that, again, so many others went before us. I think about this building. We're in the pharmacy school, UGA pharmacy school today, right? And I remember hearing the stories of those who went before us and then before them, right? And the impact that they made. And there was a reality that set in with me at some point that said, wow, we're next up here. Like it's our turn. Right, yeah. And I remember feeling that way maybe around third year, right? Of just saying, okay, so it's our turn to take the ball and run it forward, right, to the next destination. What is that destination? Well, that's where we look to our leaders, and I think about our leaders here in pharmacy school, professors, even nationally from an APHA and NCPA model, and all of those things. And so that really instilled a passion for me that we need to leave it better than we found it. And so again, that changed my mindset of why I do what I do. And so again, wherever we're at now, whether I'm working on the health of healthcare or inside the government or something like that, or just helping a patient, helping a friend, whatever that may be, that's what drives what we do.
Excellent. Well, certainly, again, over the course of your career, you've had different labels, different roles. You've been that patient care pharmacist. You've been this entrepreneur. You're making change. You're making an impact, moving the ball forward, as you would remind us. Could you distill it down to a single word? What's your professional identity? What do you do? Do you call yourself a pharmacist at heart? What is that challenge, and what drives you there?
Good question. I think those closest to me would say busy.
Fair.
I would call it passion. I believe that, again, when we walk into a room, I want to be a difference maker, right? And that's because I've been given so much, right? Again, we were invested in, and anytime if I'm thinking about an investment, if I invest in something, I want a big return at the end, and I think about those that invested in me personally, right? And so I think that those were, those that invested in me, whether it be professors, deans, and family, all of those that helped me to do that. Again, I think they were hoping that we could leave it a better place, and it would be a big return, right? And that return would just be impact on the world, right? Impact on my family, impact on whatever we're a part of. And so I think that passion for what we do and what I do in particular, again, I hope that would be the word that describes me, because ultimately that passion has to be tied to something. And for me, it's purpose. And again, I think about what we're doing inside pharmacy today. Pharmacy is, we're in the rural arteries of America. It has an incredible opportunity to be able to make an impact on healthcare as a whole. And while the national conversation is today around, how do we help the health of healthcare, and in particular, the smaller arteries of America, everyone is looking to the pharmacist now. And, how can we do that? It's because of we're passionate about what we do, but it's also because of, we're standing on the shoulders of those who went before us, who said, okay, we're giving you the ball now it's your turn. And so I think the passion for what I do is probably the one word that would describe me. Try to uplift the room whenever possible.
Excellent. Well, I think that speaks a lot to really, again, your values, what has been important to you, others who have poured into you, and why you want to continue to pour into things moving forward. Again, as you've gone along your journey, there are ups and downs in our professional careers. What are those notable accomplishments, or those lows or those challenges, and how have you learned and bounced back from them?
Sure. Man, I'll never forget the lows of pharmacokinetics tests.
Ditto.
Also accomplishment, right?
Yes,
we made it through.
Survival.
That's right. When I think about accomplishments, I think about I don't think about awards and anything like that, right? I think about those moments with, I would say on a personal level, watching my kids or watching my bride, who does 1,000 more things that I feel like I do, and be successful, watching my kids grow and have those big moments in life. I'll never forget the time just this past December where I just got to sing some Christmas carols with my kids on a stage. Right, that was a moment.
Saw a little hand motion there.
Oh yeah, that was me picking just a little bit.
Okay, good to know.
I'm just in the background. My kids can do. They're incredible. But all to say, I think about their accomplishments. I would say those are the things that really motivate me more than anything else. From an accomplishment perspective, on top of that, though, I think one that was really special was Small Business of the Year in Georgia. That was awesome. Just to, again, anytime you're ever doing small business, you're building off a dream and a vision, and you are trying to lead the band, right? And you're hoping that everyone will follow you, and you're trying to lead a team. You're also trying to lead an industry. We were in an area of pharmacy that was new and somewhat innovative, and sometimes it was, it wasn't controversial. It was just, well, how can a pharmacist be clinical in the retail setting? at scale and get paid for those services and all these other things, right? And so I would say that was a moment from an accomplishment perspective, just to say again, and that was not about me, it was about our team, and it was about shedding light on the power of pharmacy and being able to impact patients. Certainly there is something about also at UGA, where there is just a standard of excellence. And I'll never, it's never lost on me that when you walk on the campus at UGA, there is an excellence factor that calls you to something greater. And so, I remember, wanting to be at UGA one day, right? Fighting hard to get there. I feel like I had to fight harder than others. It seemed like anyways. And so while everybody else might have gone out on a Friday night, I'm like, man, in order for me to be equal, on equal footing, I've just got to stay in and study. So I just think about being recognized from UGA perspective as Bulldog 100 a couple times. That was cool, very special, just to see. And again, because this is our community, it's family, right? And just seeing what how the team can be celebrated in that regards. Pretty cool moments. Other than that, again, I would say the accomplishments that I'm most proud of, again, are on the personal level, and then just seeing what we did. I think the team did through Zika virus, in which we partnered with the CDC in a major way. Got super innovative and creative. They were trying to figure out how to, for example, create some new things with Zika and get the word out in small communities out there. And so we created very quickly an Apple TV app. And we sent Apple TVs out everywhere, all across the country, and we created content, for Zika virus, amongst many other things that pharmacists were doing. Before that, they had been putting satellites on top of pharmacies and drilling a hole through the ceiling, and and wiring it up to a television. That was cool.
Fabulous.
I think about the time, I just think what we went through with COVID was also special. There was just a small group that was trying to figure stuff out, right? How do we pay pharmacists on Medicare Part B for testing, right? Hadn't been done before. And so working with the team, and seeing that come to fruition, and has now led to more test to treat, across the country now. I think those are some special accomplishments out there too.
Absolutely. So building on the shoulders of those that came before us, but now you are setting those building blocks in place for that next generation. Part of that next generation certainly has aspirations to really break bounds and to be entrepreneurial, perhaps like you one day. What are those things we need to continue to prepare our students so they can be successful in that endeavor?
The basis for creating, right, and being able to be entrepreneurial, I think starts with just a servant's heart, right, and just being able to serve. Yes. There are a lot of opportunities inside the College of Pharmacy today to be able to serve, whether that be in a clinic, right, where you can go and serve in that regards, or being able to serve, under, some world-renowned researchers here that we have. There's so many options and opportunities there, but it starts with a servant's heart, just to be able to, because you have to learn. You have to learn the subject matter and be the subject matter expert. And again, to some extent, you don't have to know everything, right? You just need to have a
We
big
can try,
passion,
but we're not going to get there.
That's right. So you surround yourself with people who, can help you dream, right? So here's what it starts with. It's a passion for what you do. Let's make things better around us. How can we do that? Let's start with healthcare. Let's pick a fun one, prior authorization.
Oh, that is a fun one. Yes.
Everybody loves to talk about prior authorizations. Let's fix it. And so this is a perfect environment for us to be able to discuss those things. And so if I'm a student here, I am convinced that your time in college, and specifically inside like a professional school like this, right, where everyone is thinking in a common direction, for the most part, right, that you have the basis of great thought and conversation, where you can say, okay, let's get some folks together and let's talk about what ways could we fix prior authorization. We know that here's the challenge, here's some solutions here, here's what the plans are looking for, here's all the things. Somebody's going to help you think through some of that, what you hadn't thought of. You have some professors who've lived this, for the past couple of decades, who can understand this. This is a perfect rudiment you have all the things necessary to be able to create a business inside college. I was always thinking inside, and whenever I went through, it's like when I get out of college, I am going to start a business.
Fill in the blank.
I think it starts now. And I think that opportunity and the thought process can start now. You may not act on it yet, and that's okay, because you do kind of need some cash flow. You need a job.
It's helpful.
You do have a full-time job. It's being a student and all of those things.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, we cannot forget that.
Got to be focused, right? But being able to have those resources is invaluable. So being able to communicate, and so I know that if I came up with an idea here and I brought it to a clinical professor here, that they're going to find a way, somehow, some way, to connect me with people who can help me to push that idea forward. So I think it's start now, right? And I think it's have a passion for what you do. Try to be the subject matter expert in all you can, knowing that we're all still learning. And in healthcare, it's a deep well. We're still trying to figure out, right, all the bases of healthcare, and there's no one who knows it all. But I think those are the key elements.
Excellent. So in the spirit of being able to look not only inward but upward and outward, to know where the challenges and the pain points are and the opportunities to make a difference. What's your crystal ball? We have technology in all sorts of ways all around us, but we have our core skill sets that we have to rely upon. What are some future thoughts that you have?
AI is a fun topic. I love it, right? And so, again, that's both personally and professionally. From a pharmacy perspective, I am encouraged by AI in a very big way. Wonderful. Pharmacists, offer an invaluable skill set, right? And so much of that has to do with, the human connection. Yeah. And whether that be in the rural space or in a hospital, it goes on and on. But I think about that ability, right, to do that sometimes is hampered by the operational processes. And, I think about burnout and all of the things that we see across the country. I'm seeing it right now. So we just did a national transformation survey for pharmacy specific and said, what are the things that are preventing you from transforming your practice? And the goal, really interestingly, was that pharmacists want to have that more clinical practice. They do want that human connection.
That's what we're trained for and what drives us.
That's right. And we've been trained so well. And so I think that the AI will unlock so much of that capability. Again, the operational process, I think of my days in the pharmacy of calling a plan, right? Picking up the phone to call a plan, right? I hope AI can fix that.
Please.
Yes. Prior authorizations, can we not do this? I think 30 seconds is too long, right? You should be able to pull data from the electronic health record, be able to assimilate that, right? Be able to bring that forward so that I can make a determination of whether this drug is right for this patient and what does it cost. Those are very simple things that I believe that AI can solve for us. And so I'm very bullish on AI when it comes to pharmacy. I also know that inherently pharmacists are creative and innovative. They like to be...
We are problem solvers. We're looking for the best solution possible.
You're right. You're right. And the cool thing is at pharmacy is that we get to see all of healthcare, right? We get the front row seat to be able to see, every different type of specialty and practice setting as well. So hospital to your physicians in the group out there, to labs. All of that is an incredible way for us to be able to be the tie, the glue, right? That can buy in there. And so I am really bullish on AI in pharmacy.
Wonderful. Those are great things to look ahead to. Speaking of looking ahead, so yes, recently you were appointed to the FDA's Pharmacy Compounding Advisory Committee. First of all, congratulations. I know much of this work still is yet to be determined. So what do you anticipate the role will be and where you'll fit in and where might there be an impact?
So first of all, just incredibly grateful for an appointment to the Pharmacy Compounding Advisory. Again, I just think about, before I answer that, I must say that, the intelligent design of not just the FDA, but of just, healthcare in general, right? We can all, take a look and say that could be better, this could be better, whatever it may be. But I'm just so encouraged by the fact that those before us have tried their hardest, right? And so just the structure and the element has resulted in the entire world looking at the U.S. healthcare system and saying, I can trust that, right? So much of that is born off of the FDA's decisions, right? Which is it scrutinizes. And I think that I'm excited to see that. Compounding certainly, is a vital element in our world. I used to be a compounding pharmacist as well. I was trained here at UGA.
Another one of those labels there and career stops.
That's
yes.
right, another career stop. And so it's vital because it's personalized medicine for those who need it, right? And so we've got some fun conversations happening over the next couple of months. I think RFK Jr. just mentioned we'll have our the kickoff for this administration will be in July. We've got some fun topics coming up, like peptides and some of these others. But ultimately, again, I just think that I'm just thrilled at what the FDA is doing, right, in terms of, again, we're just trying to make a more perfect union at the end of the day. And so I've got a small group of us that will dig in. We'll take a look and we'll remember, I'll harken back to all those days of reading studies like that. I think about Dr. Diane May and some of these others that always challenge me so well.
How to critically evaluate the literature? Are you telling me the importance of that still remains?
It does. It does. Can you believe?
This drug information specialist, that's music to her ears, I must say. Absolutely.
That's
indeed.
right.
Well, we look forward and thank you in advance for serving in that very important role.
Grateful.
So you're busy. You mentioned that might be a label people put on you in terms of that. We've learned a bit about really the pride for your family and interacting and doing things outside of the work sphere. What else do we know about David outside of work? Where might we find you? If we turned a corner one day, would we be surprised to see you or say, oh, of course, that's so David?
Oh, that's funny. So I'll start with a, just philanthropic stuff.
Yes.
Kelly, my wife, and I love to just serve, right? And so right now, I'm the board chair for Golden Harvest Food Bank, an incredible organization in Augusta, but it serves almost 30 counties for those in need. And so just yesterday, we just met with that team. Just an incredible group of volunteers and staff, right, who just have one purpose in mind, and that's just to serve those in a time of need. So that's a major part of where you might find me. Just finished up starting was a part of a board that started up a new mental wellness center in Augusta called Hope Mental Wellness for those who need it. Lord knows, at some point we've all raised our hand and said, I need to help. I need some help. I need to chat with somebody.
Absolutely.
There are a lot of barriers that are out there in mental health that might be just time. It might be 3-4 weeks before you've had it, and there are times that I remember as a student, I needed to go chat with somebody, right? And so we started that. And so that's Hope Mental Wellness Center that just opened up about a month ago in the Augusta area. So if you're in pharmacy, if you're a pharmacy student, you're thinking about pharmacy, you have a friend, you can send them over to Hope Mental Wellness Center in Augusta. It's a wonderful place. Apart from that, I love to do some fun stuff with athletics and music.
You like to be athletic and active, and
as we all should be.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, in fact, I remember my first reaction after my oldest son, who's a rising senior here, will be rising senior here at UGA. After he got in, I remember that moment. It's a cool moment. Everybody remembers that moment, right? But I remember my first thing was, you get to go to Ramsey Center now. You get to go work out in one of the greatest places ever. It's fantastic. So again, I do a lot of stuff like that. So I've done 9 half Ironmans and 1 full Ironman.
But of course you have.
And like I would say one semi poor decision was that I'll never forget my couple of my kids were in karate, right? And they walk over and they say, Dr. Pope, we just built a cage next door. You look like you'd be a great MMA cage fighter.
Oh my gosh.
And of course, you're like, actually, no, I'm a runner. That's not me.
I wish to allude, not to engage.
That's right. And but then all these things pop in your mind of like, what? Well, you're turning, you're getting older. Why not give it a shot? And so fast forward, I had a couple of cage fights at one point in time.
That image is rolling around in my head right about now. Okay.
I'm not sure that anyone fears the fighting pharmacist.
I see. Not typically. Not typically. No. Well, you may have felt like at times life as a pharmacy student was a cage match. But I do want to take you back now to David, the pharmacy student, and a little lightning round, some rapid fire questions. We're looking for just your intuition right from the gut. We need to understand what you were like when you were seated in one of these classrooms.
Oh boy, here we go.
So here we go. Were you always on time to class, or were you the one cutting it close?
I was always the on-time one. I was the early one.
Okay, not surprised. Were you that first person to finish an exam, or were you the last one to finish an exam?
I was one of the later ones. I knew that if I finished too early, that I had gotten it all wrong.
I see.
I was overconfident, and
So this next question plays right into that. So were you the one to trust that first answer and intuition, or were you going to go back and review everything, think about it deeply, consider changing your answers?
I went through the test twice, every single time, if I could. Right?
If you could.
Pharmacokinetics was never an option. Right?
You needed every minute possible. Is
every
that
minute
what I'm hearing?
just to finish, right?
Okay.
But yeah, I went back through it every single time.
Sure.
I tried to go through it fast, and then it starts the internal battle of why did you answer it this way the first time versus now I'm second guessing myself.
Yes,
I try not to second guess too much, but I went back through it.
Got it. So were you that person who went home every day and studied a little bit, or did you need that pressure of exams to really start to study?
Oh, that's a good question. So I ended up at first, whenever I first got into college, I was the wake up and let's give it a shot type moment, and that didn't last very long.
Probably not. I mean, we all have some inherent intuition and some intelligence, and intellect, but.
And so I realized very quickly that I had to pace myself in terms of that, and I will also say that I loved the class. Like I love the material, right? When you know what you're gonna do one day, I viewed it as like, man, these are like tools in my tool bag. I'm gonna get called on this one day as a fourth year, right? Or on rounds.
We teach this content for a reason.
That's right. And so then I had to learn it differently at that point. I had to learn it, and so I paced myself.
Yeah. So if I were to walk in the classroom today, where would I see you seated in the classroom?
Next to the back.
Next to the back.
Not in the back, because that's for the back row kids.
Yeah.
I was one step above that.
and why that location? What does that say about you?
That's a good question. Okay, so I wanted to make sure that if somebody says, I should write this down, right? I knew the smart kids in the room, right? And so if they're writing something down, I'm writing something down.
Eyes on them.
It's just
I appreciate that. I can relate to that a little bit.
It's an extra element of learning.
Absolutely. Just a few more things here. I'm going to guess your answer to this, but I don't want to assume when you fill in the blank it's pharmacokinetics. But what was the most challenging topic for you to learn?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say, kinetics was fun. But I actually really enjoyed it, right? Because I knew I needed to I knew that this is part of what the pharmacist should be able to do, right? Is to be able to say, this is how long it's going to stay in the body. This is how it's going to work, act. That's a key core principle, right? That doesn't mean that it wasn't difficult, right? But I would say, if hardest class that I ever took was still organic chemistry, right? So it's pre-pharmacy.
I think that stands true for a lot of people.
That's right. Yeah. That was just once a year, I might wake up and, say, and have that dream.
One of those fever dreams.
One of those fever dreams. Oh my goodness. Here we go.
Yes.
An OChem test. Let's
you
go.
Would not be the first, and I dare say we'll be the last to have that
That's right.
sensation in life. Excellent. Well, any advice you would give to our current pharmacy students or yourself as a student in terms of, hey, do it this way or don't do it this way in terms of your pharmacy school experience?
Oh, that's a great one. If I'm talking to a student right now, I would say, be present, right? And get involved. Those things really do matter. Those friendships, end up being the ones that are going to be your bridesmaid, or your groomsman in a wedding one day. They're the ones that are going to be there for you. It's a cool thing. Again, this is by all means, again, this is, there's a lot of pressure that happens, right? And it's a good thing, right? It makes us better. It propels us forward. But those people that you're forged with really matter. And so I would just be present. The second thing I would just say is be intentional, even whenever you're studying. Again, and in all things, try to be intentional. And so if you are studying today, remember, you're not just studying for medicinal chemistry, right? Or just to be able to get the grade so that you can get into the residency. That's not the goal here, right? The goal is to be able to make an impact on this world. And so keep that in mind. So just be intentional. And number 3 would be to have some fun while you're doing it, right? Bring some others along the way, lift everybody up. It's I think about my time here and, just walking back on campus. This happens. I think this is universal. Anybody who walks back on this campus has that special feeling when you walk back in. And it's both that, oh man, that's in your stomach. Like, oh, I remember those tests, right? I remember those moments, but also those beautiful moments, right? Of where, life happened along the way. And so, have some fun doing it. This is fun. This is some of the best times of your life.
David, this has been a thrill and certainly fun for me. And I thank you for this fascinating look at what has been in your career and what may continue and what impact you're going to make. And again, where the future will take our students and the opportunity to make an impact. So thank you for representing the University of Georgia and our College of Pharmacy so incredibly well. Listeners and viewers, this wraps up really this current episode, but we know it's not going to wrap up your viewing and listening of our future episodes. So come back next time, and happy listening always.